Okay, hello. I have missed you guys, sana. So, today I have with me a very beautiful lady with me. Um, I'm Catherine, your very good host, and I'd like her to be talking to us today also about a certain topic, a very good topic. So, I'm pleased to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lucy Washuka, and today we'll basically be talking about transition from adulthood to childhood to adulthood and how to maneuver life in that context where we are growing up in a society which has consistently been changing, like the way we live, the expectations people have on us. So basically, today we will be talking about that.
Nice. That's nice. Okay, I feel like when somebody is transitioning from childhood to adulthood, there's a lot of some psychological changes, emotional changes, a lot of physical changes too.
For sure.
So I feel that really tampers with a whole being of who you're going to be in adulthood from who you were in childhood. It really makes a difference from who you were behind back then to who you are right now. So how do you feel about it? Like, for instance, just give us what has changed in you from when you were a child. Some little things to now when you're right now.
Interesting thing.
Okay.
There is this time I was thinking about. We both know about this unbeatable fiction, the Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about the dynamics of Tom and Jerry and the duality of a cat and a mouse being in the same context, having to fight every time, and having one without the other, it clashes, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same for adulthood and childhood. You can't if you haven't healed your childhood self, you cannot go ahead to be a good adult who, and all those things. So, and I don't think also there is any point anyone reaches and says, I am the most self-aware person. I don't think there is that age where someone can get and say like that.
Yeah.
And then so when you think about it, it's more about imposter syndrome, and the transition is not what we expect, because when we are growing up, our parents have raised us in a way where we are supposed to reach a certain age and we're supposed to maneuver our own lives.
Yeah.
We're supposed to act in a particular way. The society has expectation on us, either you're a woman or a man.
Yes.
So now that I'm talking about it, I think about a certain poem that I read a while back in high school.
Okay.
It was about, does the smoke know how to rise when it's born? Or do rivers know how to flow and ever stop and say,
That's beautiful.
wait, maybe I'm going the same direction?
Okay.
Or do waves crawl up the sand and say, I get discouraged that I'm going back to the same place every time?
Yeah.
So the transition is hectic. It's more of an imposter syndrome, because everyone is trying to outdo themselves, outdo the culture that we're living in. And for me, it's just survival, more of survival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell us of some things that you think really give people a scare when they're transitioning into adulthood? Okay, like an example is some financial issues.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me about financial issues that really creep people out, especially responsibilities that includes finance. They give people some creeps, some butterflies in the stomach.
Yeah.
So do you feel it sometimes yourself?
Yeah. We live in a society where the expectations that are on us are very broad.
Yeah.
One, there is a pace that, aside, before I go to the financial one, let's go to the beauty standards.
Okay.
We have people like these celebrities like Kim Kardashians, and all these people who set the beauty standards. You're supposed to look in a particular way. You're supposed to have certain cars. You're supposed to live your way like this. So I think when it comes to the financial side, we have the expectations of by 30, you're supposed to have figured it out. You're supposed to have cars.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have a big house. You're supposed to help 1, 2, 3 in your family. So all these expectations are on us. And then also another thing, people expect you to have figured your life out, and which I don't think it's in no way in your control in any way.
It's not.
It's not basically because you live your life like we usually just say life is like a blindfold. I might be today here, tomorrow I don't know what's gonna happen, and everything will just fall apart, and I will not have anything.
Yes.
So again, when it comes to financial expectations, we have this thing, we're supposed to be successful by a certain age.
Yes.
And that's not how life happens. So living in a society which values money more than every other thing, like people say without money you can't do, and there is this notion that I mean it's something that like has been going on, that you cannot do anything without money. So again, it sets a pace and expectations.
I feel like that's very stereotyped. I feel like it's not right.
For sure. It's not, because money is not everything.
Yes.
But people have made us think that money is everything. Like when you think, let's take a step back to when our grandparents were born. They valued other things like poetry, they valued love, culture. They valued a lot of things. But again, now, as evolution has gone on, it has been more of you have to survive. In that survival, you're supposed to acquire money. And in that money, there is so much expectations that are enforced on us, the younger people. I'm supposed to be rich, like I've said. I'm supposed to be rich by 25. I'm supposed to own a car. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to be a billionaire or something. And that's why we are growing up in a different way, where we are money mindset.
Yes.
Kind of whatever.
Yes.
And we forget on the important things like taking care of ourselves. So you'll get people going to an extent where they will do anything to get that money. Some people even become, I wouldn't say like the jobs, like for women would go to we have this femicide thing. And some of the issues we get to here is women have been financially manipulated to think they can't survive without money, so they go and look for what so-called wababas, and these people mistreat them. They end up killing them because they don't have value, and so again, it has made us forget a lot of things, like our culture, where we stand as women or even men. And it's just that. And for men, when you talk about men have always been raised up in a society where they're supposed to be providers.
Yeah.
And now, again, the transition from adulthood to childhood will bring them to have imposter syndrome, in a way that they're having so much pressure on themselves that I am supposed to be a provider of the family. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that for my family. And if you don't do exactly what the society is expecting from you, you're considered to be a failure.
Yeah.
And I don't think success, in my definition, is just being the best version of you that you can in that season.
Okay.
If I don't have food today where I am, the success will be defined by what effort am I putting to at least have that bottle of water on my table, or provide at least that dinner, So success is just being the best person you can, in that it's not being 100% perfect.
You can never be 100%
exactly
perfect.
So again, the transition is crazy because the society has put us in a box where we are supposed to act in a particular way, supposed to be particular, we're supposed to hang out with some certain people, we're supposed to, there is this peer influence from celebrities and everything. So it's also a very big issue. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's a very good take on responsibility and money. Exactly. And the transition into adulthood, it's also affected by our responsibilities and the amount of money we think you're supposed to have when you're adults. Yeah. So I also feel like your emotional growth, how you grow emotionally. So especially, I can give an example of people who end up being in the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
I feel like something must have happened on the way from childhood to adulthood. Something must have happened. I just mean, I'm sorry for anyone that I offend, But I don't feel like anybody was born gay. Nobody was born as either you're a lady but you want to act like a man. You weren't born that way. Nobody was born like
for
that.
sure.
So unless you are either born transgender, like your body was born in that way, which is very okay and very acceptable, you're a being of God. Either way, it's just something that's tampering with your emotions from childhood to adulthood, which especially happens when you're either too young or just in high school, somewhere there. So, for example, like when somebody is molested by their parents, or somebody, a guardian who was supposed to be taking care of them, and they get this notion in their mind. Like, for example, if you're a man and the lady that was left to take care of you, your nanny or somebody, molests you, it affects your mind. You start thinking that all women are the same.
Yeah, for sure.
All women are molesters. You see a woman and you fear what happened to you in your childhood.
Exactly.
Maybe you didn't even speak it out, or you spoke it out too late when it had already messed with your mind. So you end up thinking that you need to be with men and not with ladies.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you end up thinking that or you end up feeling like you have no support from women, which is what's supposed to happen biologically. So you end up seeking that support and that comfort and that pleasure from men.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like emotional growth and how you are treated as a young person can actually very much alter how you act in your adulthood.
Sure.
What do you think?
Actually, I think I will say because your adulthood, it's only a reflection of what you've been brought up with.
Yes.
Excuse me. If when you see someone who has trauma, who's been living with trauma and is an adult, there is always a backstory. How did it start? Like you've said, molestation and all the most controversial topics, feminism and toxic masculinity, and transiting to these gender notions like LGBTQ, like she's said. One, we have a lot of Western influence. We are growing up in a society which is constantly changing. Everyone is living in great panic to outdo each other.
Yes.
Like, I am living here today, but when I see you do something that everyone is praising, I would want to be like you.
Exactly.
It may not be right. So the culture is changing. And we are raising our kids. We are raised up in a society where we feel like we have to be like this. This is cool. Like, let's say LGBTQ. That's a very controversial topic.
It's very.
There are people who will argue it's more of I was born like this. There are people who will say it's peer pressure. I mean, you've seen people do it, and you're like, how about I try this? Yeah, and then So basically, all these things that we are living, all these chaotic cultures that we are living in today, they were once afflicted on us by someone.
Yes.
When we were growing up, we never had all these notions of me being a woman loving another woman, or a man being with another man, or toxic feminism, toxic masculinity.
Yes.
They're all these controversial things. We never grew. We were raised up like our grandparents, and then now we are forced to, accept this culture and live with it. When you're homophobic, you're going to be, you'll be considered someone who is.
You're not in it. You're
Exactly.
not in the time that
you're
we are
out
in.
of the culture. Why you're not supporting the society
Yes.
to, reinforce this same notion.
Yes.
So again, the Western influence has a lot of effect on us, especially those of us in like third world countries. We had our cultures before all this.
Yeah.
And then in the constantly changing society, with so much digitalized and aired on internet information and all these things,
Yes.
we are forced to now shift the way we were raised up to what what's expected of us to do.
Yes.
So I think that's basically it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true. And I feel like the topic on LGBTQ is actually something about identity formation. It's not mostly emotional growth. Yes, it could be emotional growth, but it's mostly on the identity formation of a child as they
For sure.
transition into
For sure.
into an adult. So I feel like on emotional growth we could also see that there are these people who they're adults, but they I know it sounds like, okay, let me just say it. People think that when you're an adult you should not be afraid, and okay, you should not be too afraid.
Yeah, you
And
should
being
not
too
show
afraid
your
is actually
feelings.
not good.
Yeah.
Being too afraid, like mtu anakuja, he wants to touch you and you see, that's something that's wrong in your mind, like in your brain. You have some sort of fear hidden in somewhere. So share now at when they don't talk out. When you do something to them, they'll just be quiet.
For sure.
They don't. They're just there. They feel like they're not enough, or they're not even bold enough. They don't want to express themselves. I feel like when you're an adult and you're like that, something happened. And the question is, what actually happened?
Yeah.
What actually happened? Because I do feel like children are people who have too much to say, but somebody somewhere is just not allowing them to say what they want to say. And it's especially somebody who is their guardian, or somebody who has been left to take care of them, their parents maybe, or somebody who is in, like some orphanages. There was this story about this orphanage that used to molest children. They used to even beat up the children. And the children, people were wondering, why is this kid coming from this place?
Yeah.
But he's just too fearful.
Yeah.
In their mind, they thought that maybe it's because he does not have parents. He's been beating himself up about it. But it was just too many kids who are like that to be just the same reason. So they found out that it was just, them being abused. So I think that if you're a parent out there, you really need to take care of how you treat your kid all the time, or who you even give your kid to, who you leave to take care of your child, because it's not right. It's totally, children are just too innocent to be going through some things, and it's going to tamper with their adulthood. If you really do love your kid, which you must, it's just not right. Just take care of the kid. Beware that they have a lot going through their mind, and everything you do to them right now, the child's brain is like a clean slate. Anything you write on it sticks, unless you're the one who writes it, or somebody just very close to somebody who writes it is the only one who can erase it, or a very professional somebody who can cancel the person. Otherwise, I feel like emotion is something that's too strong to just overlook.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's that. There's also relationship changes. And by relationship, I don't only mean about the girl-boy relationship. I also mean about the mother to child, the parental relationship. It's especially the parental relationship, how the person also relates to other people during the transition from childhood to adulthood. Really tampers with how they actually become when they're adults. So let me give you a story. When I was a kid, I was told that I was a very bubbly person. Like, I will laugh when anybody just stands up. I'll jump on them. I will be so happy. I don't even know the person, but I'm jumping on them. I'm all over them, very happy that they're here. So I really can't trace what happened actually, which is very unfortunate, because I kept fading.
Yeah.
I just could not do the same thing anymore.
Yeah.
I was still in class 6 and I was still too bubbly. I was just too joyous, a joy giver. Actually, when my mom noticed I was just such a joy, she named me Joy. She gave me a name and called me Joy. And then I just reached to a point that I just can't be joyous anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what sucked out all the fun out of me, but it just happened. And I feel like I really tried to trace back, but I feel it's going to actually very much tamper with what I'm going to become in future. Sometimes I wish I was just still as joyous, still as bubbly, still as energetic as I was when I was a kid. It just does not happen anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens. And I feel like most people actually don't really know what went wrong when they realize it.
Okay.
Because when I realized it, it was actually like a lot of people from my family were asking me, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're not who you are. What's going on? Do you have anything stressing you? I swear I didn't have anything stressing me. Just happened. I guess I just grew into it. I feel like how you relate with people is also determined by the place where you study at. Because when you're in boarding, you meet with a lot of people